This is season 3, and we are continuing to blaze the trail. With me today is a lovely lady who in her own right is blazing the trail in a world that is often devoid of women. So please join me as I welcome Coach Pam. Her name is Pamela Nonye, but she's popularly known as Coach Pam. Welcome to Talk with Mo, Pamela.
Thank you so much. Thanks for inviting me here. I'm so honored to be on a show like this where you really showcase talent that continues to shape and impact the world around us. So thank you for inviting me today.
Absolutely, you're welcome, and it's such a privilege to be able to do what we do. Oftentimes people get to know your brand, but what's often missing is the person behind the brand, and I'm privileged to get to show that to people. We know your brand, Redlocks, and we know that you're all about STEM and info systems and all of that. But beyond that, there is a person, there's a Pamela that I'm sure people will be surprised to know many things about you.
100%.
So please tell us, who is Coach Pam?
Okay, so first of all, let me start by introducing myself. I guide aspiring tech professionals to get the hands-on practical skills that they require to accelerate their learning so that they can start rewarding and high-paying careers in technology. That's really what I do. But apart from that, who am I? I am a mom of 3.
Mom of 3?
Yes, mom of 3, wife. I live in Canada, specifically in the city of Hamilton. I am originally from Nigeria, if you can hear my accent. I moved to Canada 6 years ago, and I'm loving it here. Really happy that we've come here and thriving.
So would you be one of those that jackpot from Nigeria, or you left Nigeria with a mission, or rather, I'm sure lots of people who jackpot had a mission, but when you said you left Nigeria 6 years ago, what were you doing in Nigeria? What was your background in Nigeria?
Okay, so from day one, I've always had the background in technology. I have a bachelor's in computer engineering, and I have a master's in innovation and entrepreneurship. And so I know the term jackpot is more popular now, but back then, no, I didn't jackpot, really. For years, I had friends who had been moving to Canada, and I never asked them what was going on there. But I think that suddenly I hit a particular part of my career where I felt like I was not growing in terms of all the effort that I put into my career. And then someone else was traveling to Canada again. I was like, okay, what are you going to do in Canada? And he said, hey, you get there, you start your life again, you get a job, professional job. I was like, okay, fine, then this sounds right? And so I started to explore it. And it made sense because, coming in through the federal skilled worker. So it was clear that moving from Nigeria as a professional, because I'd been in technology, I could still relaunch my career here. And so that was it. So I really came here with a plan, to just continue what was happening in Nigeria, but making sure that I can grow and impact the world around me much better than I did back home.
And now it's interesting, the feeling of restlessness or just being tired with your work is probably, you plateaued at your career. And there are lots of women who plateau in their career, but they never think of a change. Now, would you attribute that to youth? Would you attribute that to the fact that you were younger and you could move easily? Unlike other women who are probably older, they have plateaued, and well, there really is nowhere to go.
So I would put it down to I don't really think I was very young then, but maybe I was just in my early 30s anyway when I started to consider moving to Canada. But I think one of the things that people need to understand was that I was one of those kids who got into the university like very early at 16. So I got at 16, like immediately after school. So I have actually been in this system for a very long time. And so I looked at all of the steps I'd taken, all of the time I spent, and I looked at where I was and I said, no, I'm not, for all of the time spent, I'm not achieving much, and something has got to change. Because anybody will know anything about me is that I'm really very passionate about excellence. I'm very professional, and I give it 150%. And knowing the kind of person I am that's poured my soul into what I do and not getting the rewards I would say that I deserved, it was time to go, because I'm that kind of person who I wasn't waiting for a job to upskill. Like, I would take certifications just because I wanted the knowledge. Just because I knew that every knowledge I get helped me to do the job. So that's the kind of person I was. And with all of these things I had done, I was like, why is it not happening for me? I think maybe Nigeria is happening to me. It's time to leave, right? And so, and yeah, like you said, fortunately, I looked at it, I was like, I don't want to leave in regret. I don't want to stay here and then be in my 40s or my 50s and realize that I could have moved. So I said, you know what? It's always an experiment. Let's go and try it. But I just promised myself to critically look at any mistakes I made in my career and make sure I didn't repeat them again when I moved to Canada.
Excellent. And so you are in tech, you're in technology. Tell us a little bit about that. What has your journey looked like since coming to Canada?
Also, so 100%, like, moving to Canada when you're in tech, when we use tech is such a broad term.
Of course.
So a lot of times people struggle to figure out what part of technology that they need to fit in. But like, I was fortunate, I've always been in this space of delivery, product management, business analysis. So I was in that forefront of developing products back in Nigeria, specifically in the fintech and electronic banking space. So it was a bit, I'll say it was a bit, me figuring out what I was going to do was a bit clearer and easier for me than maybe those who were not already in technology.
Right.
So what I did before I moved was I really believe in the power of mentorship, right? I've learned about it very early. Like, growing up, I was kind of person that the minute I told my mother I was going to do computer engineering, my mother found people who had done the course, like who were already working, who were already in university, and they were like, come, my daughter wants to do this course. I don't know anything about it. And she was always taking me around. And that's how I got a lot of knowledge that kept me on track in school. So moving to Canada, I said, okay, if I'm going to be moving to Canada, I need mentors. And so I really leverage a lot of the opportunities that the government gives those who are moving to Canada. So IOM, I think it's called I can't remember what the acronym stands for. And through it, I found mentors. I also properly leveraged LinkedIn very well. And I was fortunate to tell my story and connect with people even virtually in a way that for some reason, like, I met people that were willing to help, like help with resume, help with helping me focus in the right direction. And so, like I said, it was easier for me because I've been in that whole project management development space, so it was easy for me to transition when I moved to Canada. I started my career as a business analyst here, and then I've taken on progressively more senior roles in technology.
And it's interesting, you mentioned your mom taking you to different people to mentor you at that time, but computer technology or all of that was not popular while you were growing up, was it? So were there concerns from your parents saying, instead of computer science, go study law, go study medicine or something like that?
Yes, my mother wanted me to study medicine. That was what she was advocating for. But I knew I was not a medical doctor. Like, I knew deep in my heart that it was not what I wanted to do. So I knew it was engineering, something in engineering. So I was just going back and forth between all kinds of engineering, but I wasn't very sure. And like you said, computers were not popular back then, but I watched a movie. You know how, young kids, right? Sometimes you watch something and think has like a really profound impact on you. So I watched a movie, and that was like when, like all these CGI effects were just kind of like becoming more popular and really cutting edge, and it had a really profound effect on me. I was like, oh, these are all computers, right? I was like, okay, I think this is the future
for you.
This is the future. So I told my mother, I was like, I think I know what I'm going to do. I'm going to do computer engineering. She's like, why? And I was like, I think it's the future. I'm very, very sure. She was like, okay, are you sure? I was like, yeah, I'm sure. And at the end of the day, I think my parents, unfortunately, even though my parents are typical African parents, I tried to push you, but one of the things that they did, which was very surprising, was that they really did not, they kind of didn't push too much on the medical. Like, at the point in time, they just said, she's very consistent in saying it's not medicine, and they supported my my decision. And that's why, she went ahead and said, okay, let me go get mentors to help guide her as she goes through school.
And that's very instrumental to many parents today. I mean, if you don't know, then you can send your child, or you can link them up with people who do know, and I'm sure that would have a major impact on you as you went to study computer science. But then fast forward to today, you're in Canada and you were not Coach Pam in Nigeria, you're Coach Pam here. Tell us about that story. How did that come about?
I you know, like, I mean, there was no plan for Coach Pam. Coach Pam is an evolution of, you know, time and chance and everything. So, I mean, you know, I think when you move to this country, a lot of people will look at, I want to leave Nigeria. You know, they look at it with rose-tinted glasses. And then when you come here, it's a different reality. There's so much to do. You have to settle, you have to get a house, you have to put your kids in school, you have to understand the system, then you have to get a job. There's just so much, and then the job on its own is just a whole, it's a whole rabbit hole. Like, you're preparing resumes and everything, right? So, I you know, like I said, before I moved, I did a lot of preparation. I was prepared. I was already talking to mentors, so it was much easier for me getting my first job. By the time I got to Canada, I had the opportunity to get my first role 3 weeks after I landed.
3 weeks after you landed?
After I landed, 2 offers from the same employer. And so what I did was, you know, on LinkedIn, right, you know, like I was just kind of sharing my experiences and my knowledge. And even within, like, you know, there's a lot of WhatsApp groups that are kind of like where people are looking for help. And so someone might just say, oh, I'm looking for a business analyst that can help. I mean, it wasn't like I was the best business analyst then, but I would reach out, you know, say, oh, come, let me share my little knowledge with you. And then realizing that, you know, coming here, it takes a village. You have to get information. I had to get information from people, and I realized that people were struggling. So I started to get a bit more involved in volunteering in any way I could. It was really more about helping. And so by helping people, you see when people like, you know, come back, say thank you for doing this, or like someone I've already helped to say, go meet Pam. So it started to become like a chain. Like, who told you? Somebody. Sometimes I don't know who told them, right? They'll be like, I'm like, I can't even remember the person. They're like, she spoke to you. She said she spoke to you when she came to Canada.
Wow.
It became just so much. It just grew beyond my expectation. And then, you know, people started saying like, Pam, I think this thing you do, call it something. I was like, what is it? Call it something. I'm just helping people, right? And so it took a while. And I think one of the decisions why I also did not consider even becoming a trainer early was I had little kids. So when I moved, my kids were all young, all under 7, and they were 3. You know, so coming here, you have to settle in phases. You got a job, you get a house, you get used to the system. You can't come and add a business to it. Like, you burn out as a woman, right? You have to pace yourself. So now the kids are a bit older. They don't really need their mom so much. And so it was now time for me to sit down and really really come out and help people, because I truly believe that people require the right training, right? It's not just about training. It's about the right training that would get them, like I said, that would accelerate their skill, right? So that they can start earning high-paying careers. I'm someone who's very passionate about excellence, and the same kind of thing I bring to my training. So why not? Like, I'm just trying to fill the gap in the marketplace by giving people like practical hands-on training that is as close as possible to what they will see on the job.
Wow, and that is all on business analysis.
Business analysis and Scrum.
And Scrum.
Yes.
And so, well, when we call you a trailblazer, why is that? Why do you consider yourself a trailblazer, or why do you think people
tell me, because I don't
as trailblazer?
I don't think I'm a trailblazer. I just think I'm just using my talents, right? I would say that a lot of people, I think one of the things that we owe ourselves in the world is that if we have talent, we need to share it with the world. And so I asked myself, I may not be #1 in the world, I may not be the best actress or, you know, win awards, you know, on the world stage, but each of us have a God-given talent that we have, and we need to use it, right? And so that's what I'm just trying to do in my own little way, is use that talent. My mom used to sell the chatterbox when I was a child. So we laugh about it, and I say, well, at least I channel the chatterbox to
energy,
something, right? Because people were like, how come you're so good at training? Did you learn it from? And I'm like, no, I didn't. I just do what I do, right? So, I mean, if people think I'm a trailblazer, that's fine. I just feel like I'm just doing what I'm good at and trying to help as many people as I possibly can.
Well, I mean, considering the time you've been in Canada and what you have achieved by the number of people you've helped, you're not clogging the trail. You are certainly blazing the
Thank you
trail,
so
if
much.
any. And so when you think of all the people that you have impacted, what is the one thing that you can always go back and say, yeah, I think I'm proud I did that?
So if I think about it, I would say that I help somebody not lose hope.
Not lose hope.
Because it's very important, right? I help somebody not lose hope. Especially in this country. I always say, like, we move here, we don't have a network. We don't have our parents to fall back on, or our uncles and aunties, right? We are our own network, and we're trying to build it. We're trying to do it so that the next generation, our kids who come here, now actually have a network because we've put that together. So what I want to remember is that Pam was able to share her knowledge, and that Pam really epitomized what it means by saying it takes a village. It takes a village. Very important.
And I'm sure that because you are in a... Now it's getting more and more, there are more and more female getting into the STEM career path. But 6 years ago, 7 years ago, it wasn't so common. Lots of women were not found there. So you getting into science, technology, engineering and math stream, earning an income and making people or leading people into making an income. I think in my books, you are blazing the trail. And I want to say thank you for what you're doing in contributing all you do to society and building up the Nigerian community. And this is not only Nigerians that you have assisted in doing this. So just thank you for doing your part in sharing hope, I will say, to the community around us. So you're a trailblazer, and I'm going to applaud you as one.
Thank you so much.
And thank you for showing the path to lots of people as well, that yeah, women can be in STEM and do well, because you're doing excellently well as a Scrum Master?
Scrum Master. I'm also a release train engineer. So a release train engineer is like, if you think of Scrum Masters like project managers, release train engineers are like program managers in Agile.
Okay. I am a lawyer. I do not know Agile, but it all sounds so amazing. And thank you for doing that. Any last words before you?
So I just wanted to mention that I have a book coming out. I'm going to be launching a book in March. March is, we all know it's March 8th is International Women's Month. So I'm going to be launching a book. I'm actually a co-author on a book called Ladies in Technology, Changing the Face of Technology. So that would be something I'm excited about, because, you know, look at me now. I'm a co-author. A year back, I wouldn't have thought that this would have happened. So I'm hoping that people can, you know, at least get the book. I'll be, you know, hopefully sharing more about the book on my other platforms if they follow me. But apart from that, what I just want to tell people is that, you know, you need to be intentional about your career. Like, be very intentional. Don't take no for an answer. I don't. If they tell me no, if I see that it's not possible in that place, there's so many other options. Like, explore all the other options. Be intentional. Don't give up, and don't let anybody define you at all. Like, charge your own path, make your own path, follow it through, and you'll be amazed at the results that you're going to get.
Thank you. Well said. Very well said. And congratulations on your upcoming book. We look forward to launching that with you and sharing the good news on our platforms as well. On that note, we want to say thank you to Pamela, Coach Pam, and please follow her and get excited for her. Yes. Support her, and like her, it takes a village, and you and I, we're part of that village. So let's go ahead and keep blazing that trail. On that note, I'll catch you later.